call you Jeff Impulsive Decision Kanata for nothing. You're the wild card. Out of everybody I know, you're the loose cannon. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Kanata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens. Science is hard work, Jeff.
Oh, that's why we try to avoid it at all costs on this award-winning science podcast.
Yeah, listen, we're an award-winning science comedy podcast, and so there are two things that we know. Science, number one, is hard work, and number two, science is a feeling. We've always said it.
That's right.
And we stand by, but emotions are hard, and doing emotional labor is very rough.
Why would we want to do any of that?
Yeah.
I'm going back to sleep.
Go back to sleep, buddy. But sometimes when we do these stories, and it's like, well, science is a lot of work, but at the end of it, oh my God, they found the genetic cause of this thing, or oh my God, we can correct this, or we're going to space, or we found huge returns.
We put a helicopter on Mars, for God's sake.
We put a fucking helicopter on Mars, and then we had another helicopter land on Mars and kick it. Just kick it in the face and be like, I'm the new helicopter, because we could.
Oh, I thought you meant like kick it old school. Like it was just kicking it on Mars.
No, although they could have, but that's not the way we built it, because humans are also naturally destructive and competitive. We've learned that as well. But sometimes people work for incredibly long periods of time, spend years of their life, Jeff, to do something that, number one, I didn't even know was a problem, and number two, still doesn't sound like a problem after they solved it.
Okay. Well, I'm intrigued.
Jeff, what's your favorite color M&M? We know they all taste the same. My favorite
color M&M. Do we have to have one? Is there red? Yeah. I like red. Is red a color in M&M? Yeah, I'll say red. When we were kids, there was a whole color structure for some sort of sexual activity, right? Based on the color of M&M you were given, it meant you had the green light to do a certain thing. I don't know.
I think that's one of those things that's one of those stories that you hear as a kid, that like you want to believe is true somewhere else because it's not true anywhere in your life, but you want to believe it.
But that was a thing, right? I'm not making that up, right?
I remember hearing something about that. The one that I remember the most is there was like literally for a while when I was a kid, everybody only wanted green M&Ms because there was a commercial where these kids were playing baseball. They were in like a baseball league. And
green is a home run.
He's like, when I eat the green ones, I hit the ball downtown. And it's like, oh shit, that's a thing.
I think something got turned into, the first base, second base thing, home run.
Oh, it could have evolved from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say red's your favorite candy color across all candies?
No, because the fruity candies where the color equates to the flavor, I'm all about that purple. I like purple. I like purple flavored stuff. Yeah.
Not the Sunny D, just the purple stuff.
Just the purple stuff, right?
I'm a big fan of blue. I like blue flavored things.
All right.
And I like...
Blue feels like it could go a variety of different ways. Of course, the blueberry flavor, but sometimes it'll be like a blue apple or something, which I'm not down with.
Yeah, it's just for like wild berry, which is a thing that they created.
Wild berry.
They just call it wild berry, and
which is just
blue.
Code for sugar.
Yeah. It's just the most disarming amount of sugar is what they call that.
Yeah.
But I was surprised to know, Jeff, that blue food coloring is incredibly hard to make.
Is that so?
It absolutely
is. Blue food coloring. But it's ubiquitous. It doesn't seem to be rare.
Everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, here's what's interesting. Other food colorings, you can find a lot in nature, but blue food coloring, there's apparently no actual natural blue food coloring. The food colorings that we know of for making things blue are basically, there are two of them. One is FD&C Blue Number 1, which is called Brilliant Blue.
Okay.
And FD&C Blue Number 2, which is Indigo Teen.
Indigo. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Right. Isn't there an indigo plant that is derived from?
Exactly. And indigo, blue things, blue and purple, you'll remember probably because you're a fucking high fantasy dork, is blue and purple are the colors of royalty because blues and purples were rare.
Ah, yeah.
If you had a bolt of blue fabric or a bolt of purple fabric, it meant that you had the most expensive color that there was.
Because it's hard to make, hard to find, hard to find.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And right now, the number one way of making, like, blue food coloring, there really isn't a blue. You can find a purple, you can find a green, you can find a red. You can't really find blue in large quantities in nature.
Purple hearts, green clovers, blue diamonds, dude.
Blue diamonds.
Purple horseshoes, blue diamonds, blue diamond Phillips.
Blue diamond Phillips. Are you doing something? I'm with you.
No.
Okay.
No, but honestly,
if you're doing something, I'll come along.
I'm
blue
just
diamond
saying.
Phillips.
I'm thinking of all of the. I'm thinking Young Guns. I don't know. Yeah. I'm thinking of all of the terrible children foods. There was always a blue. It's not like they didn't have a blue.
Blue blow pops. There are blue frosted
mini wheats,
Pop-Tarts, and
all
kinds of blue candy. Yeah, blue Jolly Ranchers. Like they're around, but they're all made of FD&C number 1 or FD&C number 2.
Okay.
Now, their chemical food dyes are considered safe. They're, the FDA says, hey, you're good. But the FDA says we're good with a lot of things.
Uh-huh.
And
Wait, are you about to tell me that blue things are going to kill me?
No, not any more than anything else. Okay. I mean, as long as those other things are also using artificial dyes. The thing is, there are potential health effects to artificial dyes. And the thing is, it's, Jeff, everything in moderation. You can have enough, right. You can have a little bit of strychnine if you want. You can have a little bit. Yeah, you can't have a lot.
Is that why you have it laying around in that welcoming
That's why I keep putting it in your dish? Food. Yeah.
You keep putting a little bit in my food every day.
Yeah.
It's to build up an immunity, you say.
I think unfortunately you're building up an immunity, which was not my plan.
Yeah, but now I can't lift either of my arms, which feels like not immunity at all.
Well, listen, you're going to be fine. And that's not from blue food coloring.
Okay, good.
As far as the FDA knows. So, I mean, there are some concerns that any chemical that doesn't need to be in your body, you just shouldn't put in your body, right?
Yeah, but why would I want to eat something that's not blue? If I can make something blue by putting it in my body, I'm going to do that. Yeah.
Thank you. Why would I eat something not blue when I could eat blue? Thank you.
Right. What am I just going to not eat blue when the potential is there to make anything I want blue?
Right.
No.
Yeah. So here's the other thing. There are some people that are like, look, don't put chemicals in your body if you don't need to put chemicals in your body. If it's just don't put it in there, Yeah. And then the second one is, hey, the sustainability of food dyes is not great.
We're running out of blue?
Well, sustainability in terms of like, yeah, we're not going to run out of it because it's a chemical, but sustainability in terms of like the environment sustainability.
Oh.
Like, how much is it costing you to have that blue diamond Phillips?
It's costing us the planet, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it might be. I mean, listen, on an infinite timeline with infinite monkeys working in infinite chemical plants, eventually they destroy the planet. Okay? And that's why we try to get them to sit at the typewriters instead.
Yeah, it's a less destructive
hobby. Thing. Although the poetry that they write is just god awful.
Yeah.
And you
have to be making blue this whole time.
You have to go listen to them do their, like when they're like, oh, I'm doing a show.
That's the worst.
I'm doing a show. I'm going to be reciting some of my stuff. You got to come.
And they typed up the little postcard to tell you about it, on their typewriter.
Yeah. And it's
so
the entire
frustrating.
work. And instead of the address for the place, it's the entire works of Shakespeare. And you're like, God damn it, monkey, you've done it.
How many postcards is this?
It's a lot of postcards. So other colors use naturally occurring things, more sustainable things. A lot of the food dyes can come from as you probably heard as a kid, a lot of it can come from bugs sometimes. Not a ton of it, not as much as we used to use, but we're very good at using every part of the buffalo these days. We can mechanically separate anything from anything else. If there's a part of the food we don't need, but we can make a little bit of money off of it, then we're gonna use that. And so there are lots of natural sources for all these things. And right now, the problem that we're having is the only naturally occurring blue that we can find is using red cabbage. Which automatically sounds wrong to you, right?
Yeah, well, it's got the wrong color right there in the name.
The wrong color right there, you fucking idiot cabbage. But here's the thing. Red cabbage, if you look at it, is kind of a purple. It leans a little bit towards purple. It's not a pure, it's not a Crayola brick red.
Right. Yes. Who are the ad wizards that came up with this cabbage?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
It's a mislabeled cabbage.
You're spitting hot truth today.
So the problem here is that these cabbages. Do you want me to rant about cabbages? Because I've been holding this in.
Tell them,
cabbages. Oh, I'm so sick of cabbages. When do they get off red cabbage? Wait a minute. Isn't there such thing as blue cabbage, though?
No.
There's blue cabbage.
No, never.
Isn't that like an Irish delicacy, blue cabbage?
Blue cabbage?
Am I making that up? Am I completely making that up? Blue cabbage, he Googled.
No, there's forms of red cabbage that look a little more blue.
God, fuck you, red cabbage.
Right?
Right?
I was about to be like,
why couldn't we just call it,
purple cabbage.
Vibrant cabbage.
Vibrant cabbage.
Color non-specific.
Cabbage.
There you go. See? It is a cabbage that is colored differently than other cabbages.
Technically, let's not be so specific. Cabbage. That's what it is.
It is wild berry.
So, there are, because the cabbage is like 5%, it's like 2 to 3% blue. There are these naturally occurring.
They can extract the 5% of blue in red cabbage.
It's kind of dope. Like, people have been doing this for a long time. It's called anthocyanin, and it's in red cabbage. And people do it. They do it at home. Like, there's a way to make blue dye at home with red cabbage, but it's like a very involved process. You get very little dye out of it. It takes a long time. And then science walked up and said, "Hey, can't we fucking do something about this? We've been studying this. There are scientists that have been working on making a sustainable, natural blue food dye for decades, Jeff. People have dedicated their lives, Jeff.
Yeah.
To this, to making a natural wild berry dye. And buddy, they fucking did it.
Welcome to the blue dye future.
Exactly.
Dun, 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 dun.
So, the type of anthocyanin that makes that little bit of blue is called Peak 2. And what
a little Pikachu.
It's a little Pikachu. Pika Pika. But here's something that's crazy. Scientists were like, okay, how natural do we consider all natural?
Uh-oh. What do we have to inject into it?
Like, what's natural and what's not? Let's spitball around the table.
Everything in the cabbage already, natural.
Right.
Shit we have to inject into the cabbage, not so much.
Okay, Dave.
That's my definition.
All right, Dave. No, that's fair. That's fair. So if I told you, Dave, that we don't need to inject anything into the cabbage, and we would only be making things that naturally occur in the cabbage, you would say that I've solved the all-natural problem, and then I get your car.
You get my car. You get all the grant money. Yes, I've been working my entire adult life on this problem, and to say that you have somehow solved it would make me both angry and jealous.
Well, once again, Dave, what they say when you want to set a world record, you don't look in the book for the world record you want to set. You look in the book for the world record that isn't there. Now, you said, as long as I don't inject anything from the outside into the cabbage, it's all natural. Now, if I was to do a little on the genetics of this cabbage, if I was to go like a little and a little boop, and change the way, not inject genes into the cabbage that weren't there, Dave. But if I was to say, Dave,
yeah,
I could take some of the other anthocyanins that naturally occur within this red cabbage, not a peak 2, that's what we're looking for. But if I could get like a peak 6, peak 7, or peak 8, if I could get them to turn into peak 2.
So Rodney, let me get this straight. You're gonna genetically engineer red cabbage to just have more blue in it.
That's all natural, baby. Welcome to Grandpa Rodney's all natural cabbage farm.
This is by definition a GMO.
Well, what is a GMO? Because
I mean, you just described it.
Well,
you described the process of genetically modifying an organism.
It just what it is, Dave, is you just tweak an enzyme, really. It's not even a gene. I'm just talking about an enzyme. I'm talking about just a little chemical that just goes, hey little Pika P. What if you turn into P2? And then Dave gives Rodney the keys to his sweet Saturn SL2 that still runs.
I love that Saturn.
There's a lot of big money in science.
So does the cabbage turn bluer, or do we just get more out of it? Like, can I see it?
It looks like a red cabbage, but
that's very disappointing for a blue cabbage.
But the enzyme, when you extract it, or the anthocyanin, when you extract it and you boil it down, you centrifuge it, whatever the fuck they do to make an all natural food dye. It comes out blue, man.
I gotta say, it took a while, but now I love this story. I did not like this story for a while, but now I'm kind of in love with the story because what you're telling me is science squeezed a red cabbage hard enough and blue came out.
Yeah. Isn't it dumb? Here's why I like it. And this is why I said what I said in the beginning. Okay, you did it. You took 20 years. And now the red cabbage makes a little bit more blue juice.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's just marginally more blue juice. But it's enough that it probably changes everything.
It changes a lot, man. It changes a lot because now you've got naturally occurring cabbage farms that are, they have their yield of cabbage. They sell it to these industrial companies that make shredded cabbage. They put cabbage into things. They do whatever. And while they're doing it, they can extract that blue juice.
Get a little more wild berry.
Everything could be a little more wild berry. Yeah. We cut down on the amount of chemicals that the monkeys and the plants are doing, which means we get more monkey poetry in the world.
Yeah, maybe not as interesting though if they're on fewer chemicals, It's okay.
But it's okay. One of those
we can't make an omelet
like,
without breaking some eggs.
Yeah, it is one of those things where like it's absolutely silly that people have devoted their lives to this, and yet it is going to economically change a lot of things in the food industry, and it is going to environmentally change a ton of stuff in the world.
Yeah. It's fascinating to me the margin cases for new technology, right? Because you think about modifying DNA, genetic modification. You think about all of the advancements we've been talking about with CRISPR, and you automatically leap to the sort of top tier, above the line, marquee uses.
Yeah.
But when you get a little lower down the scale, and it's like, no, man, we can make a little bit more blue dye in that cabbage, just a slightly more blue dye.
Yeah. And it's like,
but it's earth shattering.
Oh, cool. What is that? That saves us $100 million in X amount of tons of CO2 a year. Great.
Yeah.
What?
That's wild.
Because of wildberry? It's wildberry, Jeff.
It all comes down to wildberry. It's wildberry all the way down is what we've been saying for years.
What we can agree is the worst candy flavor? Yellow banana.
Now, here's the thing, man. In 90% of the cases, I would agree with you. I love me a yellow banana runt.
Okay.
Yellow banana runt is real good. It doesn't really taste like bananas to me, or even the sort of faux banana flavoring that you get on some stuff. Because normally I would hate banana flavoring, but I love me a yellow runt. I love me a banana runt. And they're fun because they're shaped like a real banana.
Yeah,
so you know what you're eating.
And they're nutritious that way.
Exactly. They got thiamine and niacin, just like a real banana.
Just like a real banana would. Whenever I think of banana flavored candy, I immediately think of Laffy Taffy. You know,
no, that's disgusting.
You take one big bite of that banana Laffy Taffy, and it's just like, it's that overwhelming chemical banana.
Oh, yeah. There's no laughing after that taffy, you know?
All banana candy tastes like when you accidentally leave bananas in the pantry and they're like closed in the pantry, and then you open the pantry door and it's just banana smell.
Yeah. And now you have a banana pantry for the rest of your life.
It's like you've got a banana pantry for weeks. For weeks based on it.
Don't put your bananas in a pantry.
Don't put your bananas
unless you want a banana pantry.
If you want a banana pantry, that's fine. But like, man, that's a story that we should look into. Why banana stench hang out?
I think if you put anything in there and it fucking rotted, it would smell like that.
But I'm not saying the banana rots.
You want a fucking salmon pantry? Put a fish in there.
I'm not saying it rotted. I'm saying you open up the pantry to get a banana, which is still good. It's still a good banana. And yet, the simple act of banana existing within your pantry has given you a banana pantry.
It doesn't mean it is rotten. It is rotting.
Okay, I mean, we're all rotting, Jeff. We're all dying every day.
Exactly. Put me in a pantry. You're going to get a pantry that smells like me.
Yeah, but it's going to take a lot longer.
You know what's funny about all this, too, is I've often considered the fact that there is a fruit flavor that is consistent between candies.
Yeah.
Right. But that fruit flavor almost never bears any resemblance to the actual flavor of the fruit.
No. Cherry candy, not cherry.
Watermelon flavored things do not taste anything like a watermelon.
No, watermelon is usually like a weirdly sour, like it tastes pink. It doesn't taste like watermelon.
Right. But it is all watermelon from candy to candy is consistent.
Yeah.
But so it must be based on something, right?
I think it comes down to, you know how the other week when we were talking about donuts, I was talking about Big Donut.
Yeah.
And somebody in the...
You're talking about big fruit flavor right now?
I'm talking about big fruit flavor. And I'm not talking about fruit by the foot. I'm talking about big fruit flavoring incorporated. The same way most donuts in LA come from one of two bakeries, I think industrial fruit flavoring probably there's probably a fruit flavoring magnate out there. The heir to the fruit flavor fortune.
Just decided what watermelon tastes like.
Phineas Finnegan, the
generations
fruit
of children.
Fortune.
He's fixing the fruit flavors for families everywhere.
For every family from Fresno to Phoenix. Phineas Finnegan.
The fruit flavoring factory, man. I don't know.
But no.
But this is the same guy that's gonna make billions from marginally more blue in his cabbage.
Dude, they said that the people who made a lot of money this year, who invested in stocks, are the people that have been holding on to money in corrugated cardboard.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
That's brilliant.
It's one of those things where they've been shipping more, and then all of a sudden they're also figuring out like tiny ways to save a few cents per like sheet of cardboard, and all of a sudden you're a corrugated cardboard billionaire. It's the little things that people don't think about that the world turns on. Did
you tell me this? I heard this may be apocryphal. I don't know where I'm getting this from, but there's some part in my brain that tells me that I heard a factoid that there is one guy or the descendants of one guy, one estate that owns the patent on corrugated cardboard. And literally anything that is made using corrugated cardboard, this dude gets 3 cents. And it's just a massive cash flow of just everything cardboard flows through him. He's cardboard man.
Well, I can tell you this now that we've gone down this road, because I have to know. 19th of December, 1871, Albert Jones of New York, New York, received the first U.S. patent for corrugated paper cardboard. His original patent was for single-face corrugation, which is a sheet of corrugated paper lined on one side with flat paper. Okay, then Oliver Long came, and he was like, motherfucker, you only did this halfway. What you need is you need a flat sheet on the outside, then the corrugation, then another flat sheet on the inside. Motherfucker, now I have the patent.
I like, though, that you edited yourself because you were going to say Oliver Long came along and you didn't. And I thought that was very, very funny because
I'm not making that. That's not the phonetic joke that I was trying to make. I was trying to make a different point.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So no, Oliver Long, is he the guy that now owns the patent for double-sided corrugated cardboard?
Oliver
Am
Long,
I making this up that like there's this massive amount of money being funneled into big corrugation?
Now, so the person who owned the patents, he actually died last year. His name was Louis.
Maybe this is why I heard about it.
His name was Louis Sardella. He was a mechanical engineer who held patents related to corrugated boxes. Born in Baltimore, raised in Hampton, he was the son of Guy Sardella, who had an Italian-American radio show, The Voice of Italy.
Wow.
So okay. The
Voice of Italy.
What a whimsical.
It's me.
The Voice of Italy. So he goes into the box industry, and in 1985 they founded something called Sun Automation out of like literally their home, and he held 17 patents. He developed the Sun Extendo Feed, a mechanism for feeding sheets of corrugated cardboard into box manufacturing presses. Wow. He became like a billionaire because he owned like 17 patents on corrugated cardboard manufacturing and manufacturing processes. So he was apparently a huge donor to John Hopkins alumnus. He went to John Hopkins University. He founded a scholarship fund. He ran 3 scholarship funds. Damn. And he gave a lot of money to like Sierra Nevada University. Holy shit.
And his kids had the best forts.
So yeah, I guess it was this one guy that you heard about because he became like a billionaire based on this.
Yeah, I think that basically like anytime a cardboard box is used, that dude got, 2 cents or something.
That's wild. Well, it's sort of like there are a number of things that like there are patents on that you would not, that you're like, holy shit. Like the reason why D-pads and controllers all feel different is because there's one specific like Nintendo patent on the D-pad, and nobody can make their D-pads work that way or feel that way. And that's why like the original Nintendo D-pads feel so good. Anyway, Wildberry.
Anyway, blue cabbage. Red cabbage
is
the source of blue. Mm-hmm. It's just wild.
Kind of makes you think, doesn't it?
It really does.
It really does. Hey,
if you like thinking,
you probably checked out. But if you like thinking and you're still around, why not support this mess?
Patreon.com/wehaveconcerns to hear more of our rambling, barely coherent diatribes.
I think the important thing with this episode is that we started strong. The important thing was a strong start.
Well, we're going to bring it all home. Don't you worry. We're going to bring it home.
By the way, patreon.com/wehaveconcerns is where you get access to the Discord, where you can talk to other people about how we ramble too much. And
yeah, it's fantastic. It's so inexpensive to support this show. For even just $1 a month, you can get the access to that Discord, join this community, and it goes $3 a month. More stuff, $5 a month. Really, it's so inexpensive. Give it a shot. Check out all the perks. There's live hangouts with us. There's bonus content. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, it's
starting this week or starting last week. Whenever I asked Jeff 1 or 2 to pick a story, and he picks a story. The other story I make a video about. So whatever we don't hear about on the show,
cool.
whatever mystery story you don't hear about on the show, I talk about on our Patreon for everybody who supports us for $5 a month or more, which is also the level where you get all kinds of other bonus videos. So check it out, patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.
Anthony's spinoff show, I guess, that he's doing. Unsanctioned spinoff show. Okay. Whatever. I like it.
Hey, man.
Hey, Anthony, this episode is the so far is the perfect setup for my story this week.
That is about rambling.
Which was actually, it is actually. This was posted in the Discord by G. Engelstein. I don't know who that is. It could be anybody. It could be anybody. I don't know.
You in cahoots, man. I
swear.
It
wasn't emailed to me. It's just posted on the Discord. I found the story. I didn't even know who posted it until after I liked the story.
Wow.
Anyway.
What does he pay you? Pays you in board games, doesn't he?
He does. He does pay me in board games, which is the best payment. You've heard, I'm sure, the phrase less is more. I don't really apply it here on this show. Or how about the phrase brevity is the soul of wit?
Never.
Right?
But it makes a lot of sense, and I'm going to take it into account in the future. I've never heard it before today.
Not something that we apply necessarily to the making of this fine audio program. But I'm sure anybody out there listening has heard less is more, or brevity is the soul of wit, or any number of other aphorisms that suggest taking things away to improve, right? Mm-hmm. Stripping down, getting to the heart of the matter, to try to improve something.
Right. It's not what you add, it's what you take away. Simplest answers, best, all that stuff.
There's also, of course, the opposite of that, the inverse of that. Bigger is better, right? We've heard that before.
I think I know what you're going to be talking about. I think I came across this story this week.
Well, this is a new paper put out by some researchers from University of Virginia who decided to take a look at the behavior around those aphorisms. Why do we say these things to ourselves, and what are we more inclined to do? If we're intending to make something better, to improve a thing, whether it is a piece of architecture, an essay, anything. If we're trying to hone something and improve it, do we reduce, take away, strip off the thing? Or is our inclination to add to?
Oh, I'm going to say add to. Based on...
You are correct.
Based on all of the places I've ever worked, all of the things I've ever seen behind the scenes of something, there's always... It's never don't worry. You sit down at an office job. It's never, oh, don't worry. The back end tools that we use are great because they're all new. We just built them. No, it's always, well, the back end that we use in the system is built off of this ancient system, and we've just kept adding to it and adding functionality to it. And sometimes it crashes and people are always, it's always adding. What can
feature creep? Bloat.
Yeah.
You've heard of these things where they constantly, in order to improve something, they constantly have to add to it, make it bigger, make it better, add more stuff on.
This is broken. We should add more people to the committee. This is broken. We should have more meetings.
Exactly. So these researchers observed that
your bone is broken. We're going to add more bones.
Right. Exactly. You're getting dental surgery. Let's add like 14 more teeth in there.
You have one heart that has a weird murmur. We're just going to add a second heart. You're gonna
more.
Yeah, just more. And it's
more.
like, and I've been saying for a long time, we shouldn't be adding extra bones and hearts to people.
Well, but they seem so happy when we offer them more. Nobody likes it when we take stuff out. You know how aggravated people are when I remove their appendix?
Yeah, I mean, well, and there was that, people sometimes come in with broken bones and we just remove the entire bone. It's just like you broke your femur. Now you don't get to have a femur. Yeah. People don't like that either.
Oh, they hate it. They love it when we give them new stuff.
New bones.
More. New bones, a third eye.
Listen,
I
want you to call you're a representative, and I want you to tell them that the next time they're sitting in the House, the next time Congress is in session, whoever you call, I want you to call them. I want you to say, hey, not only do I want universal health care, I want to make sure that everybody at every level of universal health care has access to extra bones.
Yeah. More bones, more body, more blue in my cabbage.
More bones,
just more of
no
everything.
problems is what they say.
Exactly. That old Biggie Smalls.
No bones, no problems.
He was actually used to be called Smalley Smalls, and then he got more
and then
bones.
He was like, fuck that. Nobody's going to respect Smalley Smalls.
I need more bones.
I need more bones.
So they observed that when there was when the university this University of Virginia, when they were taking suggestions they solicited ideas for improvements to the university itself, to the grounds of the university, and they received a ton of feedback, but only 11% of people who responded suggested getting rid of something, suggested taking things away.
Right.
And they
nobody uses this facility. Why are we paying to keep it up and running?
Right. Everybody suggested adding more shit, adding more places,
more bones to the college.
Right. Exactly. More bones. So they decided
bones that the dean sits upon when he judges all of us at the end of the semester.
Yeah.
Not enough
bones. A pile. Yeah. The pile is very high at this point. It's like 90% skulls and femurs.
Yeah.
You know?
But here's the thing. It's piled high, but structurally it's not as imposing or terrifying as I want when I'm judged by the dean.
You want to really feel the immensity of the judgment, is what you're saying.
I've been to college. I know how it works.
Yes. Yeah. I get it.
I went to so many colleges.
As you know, going to college means that everyone meets the president of the college and is judged individually.
At the end of the semester, everybody walks in and averts their eyes, and upon his throne of skulls and bones, the dean judges everyone.
That's how college works. That's called college.
Read a book. Look it up.
Don't even get me started on graduate degrees.
Very few survive.
Very few. Anyway, so they started to set up a series of experiments to see if this bore out over a variety of different subject matter and topics. Mm-hmm. They brought in people, asked them to improve a travel itinerary. You know, this is the travel itinerary. Here's the places. How could this be better? Only 20% of participants suggested eliminating destinations.
Let me tell you something, man. That's a big one. Big one, because I overstuff my itinerary every time. And only recently have I started not pulling things out of my itinerary. Because I think here's the thing. When you go somewhere, you don't know if it's the last time you're ever going to be there. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. When are you going to get here again?
It's your first time there, maybe, but it's also potentially your only time there. So it doesn't matter if you don't think Sacré-Cœur is a big deal. If you're in Paris, you're going to Sacré-Cœur. And let me tell you something.
Yeah. When are you going to get back to Paris again? Yeah.
Paris is mostly bullshit. I've been there. I went once and I was like, hey, this is just another bullshit town. You can't fool me. Hey, you can't fool me.
That's how I feel about Pompeii. I spent a whole day at Pompeii and I was like, you know what? I loved Pompeii when it was in a book.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating to read about what the scientists found at Pompeii. Walking around Pompeii? Well, less satisfying.
The story of Pompeii is cool.
Incredible.
The movie of Pompeii is you can watch it, and the song Pompeii from a few years ago, big hit, very good song.
Yeah,
but no, what's not cool about Pompeii is the thousands-year-old dust.
And walking around in extreme heat with a lot of bugs, where there's no shade, because I don't know if you know this, but the entire city was level. There's no shade anywhere.
And let me tell you something. They have not yet thought to make more shade.
Nobody put up any more houses.
No
They
misters.
just left it like
Here's the
that.
thing about Disney. At least
Not a
Disney
single
puts up
mister.
misters.
Not a single mister in Pompeii.
Maybe if they'd
What is
had a
that?
couple more misters, they would have survived.
Yeah. No, I think, don't get me wrong. The science of Pompeii, excavating it, learning about it, fascinating.
The fact that we can figure out exactly what happened and who was doing what and what that.
Unbelievable.
It's amazing. But that's the process. That's not the place.
That is not the place. The place is really uncomfortable to be in all the time.
I love Legos. Legoland is fine. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing is, but when you hear like, hey, you have one shot to do this thing, your natural inclination is stuff more into it. Oh yeah, everything you listed is good, but don't forget to go here, here, and here. And it's like, fuck, man, who's going to tell me what to cut? Because I'm only there for 10 days.
I think I'm glad you latched onto this one because to me, this was the most brilliant of the experiments that they did, because to me, itinerary is the one that often, as you pointed out, can be most improved by cutting things out, you know, like not being go, 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 not forcing you to squeeze in another location in your extreme travel week. But only 17%, or excuse me, only 28% eliminated destinations. They did an essay, asked people to improve an essay. Only 17% resulted in fewer word count, or a lower word count, fewer words.
And that's why copy editors are so important. That's why they're the unsung heroes. Editors are the unsung heroes, man. Because we all know that's so wild that people wouldn't cut things, because one of the first things that I do whenever I read something that a friend wrote, or when we did it in school, is I read somebody's essay and I'd be like, it sounds like you're trying to use a lot of words to impress me.
Yeah. Keep it simple, take stuff away, whittle down. I think a lot of people that do this stuff for a living will give you that exact advice. Is, you know, you cobble together the movie. It has a 3-hour runtime. You get it down to a brisk 90 minutes.
Get down to a brisk 4 hours and 1 minute.
Yeah.
You add a new epilogue.
You know.
Change the aspect ratio. Really play around with it. See what you can do.
That's how you improve things.
But I think this is interesting because the thing that, I don't know if this gets mentioned, but for me, the biggest thing, and we've talked about this before, is if there's a problem I have to solve in my home, particularly organizational or whatever, my answer is to buy a new organizational thing.
Exactly. Yes. That'll improve it.
Add more trash to the trash.
Yeah.
If only there was a space for all the trash would then be organized. It's not get rid of the trash.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because they ran an even more controlled scientific experiment. They brought in a number of people and gave them a pattern of colored squares and white squares, and asked them to change the squares around, move the squares around to make the pattern symmetrical. And in every case, symmetry was way easier to achieve if you took away a few of the colored squares.
Yeah.
But less than half of the participants tried to do that. Everybody was trying to add more squares to try to make it symmetrical rather than take any away.
Wait, were they told they didn't have to use every square?
They weren't specifically told that, but they weren't told that they couldn't do that. Right? They said, make this symmetrical.
That's some secret shit. That's some like, oh, the only answer the only answer was to not take the test. You're welcome to the secret fancy college now. And the dean sits upon golden bones.
Golden bones? Where does he get golden? Does he die?
Shut up. You don't know because you're not smart enough.
The real bones that he dipped in gold, or they like, did he kill? Okay.
And then some of them are just golden bones.
Like somebody took some gold and just made a bone shape out of it?
Yeah.
Or like there was a golden creature that had golden bones.
Because nobody said every bone in the throne had to be a real bone, Jeff. And the dean knew that. And that's why he's the dean. He can break rules too, Jeff. That's why he's the dean of the secret college, where there are even more bones.
Well, I think you've hit on exactly You've hit on exactly what their thesis was, which is it's counterintuitive to even think about. You're saying, well, it's a secret because they didn't tell you explicitly could. Why is that something that needs to be explicitly stated?
If you hand me squares and you say, I mean, look, they're trying to make it sound like this is some Alexander on the Gordian knot shit. And that's not what this is. You're sat down at a table for a study by a bunch of researchers, and they hand you 12 squares. And they say, right, make these squares a symmetrical pattern. Make these squares a symmetrical pattern. Make a symmetrical pattern out of these squares.
Well, I don't know if that, I mean, you're saying it like we have the quote of how they presented it. I don't know if they said it like that.
How did they say it then? Did they say, hey, use as few squares as you like and make a symmetrical pattern? Because then I bet some motherfucker immediately just did one white square and was like, eat shit, give me my $50.
I mean, you were not at this experiment,
no, but I'm not
Anthony.
Smart, Jeff.
You weren't there.
I mean, I've been to college.
No, where you are correct, where you have hit upon I think the interesting tidbit here is that once it was explicitly suggested that people could take things away, they were much more likely to do it. But it is not something that we, across all of these examples, it's not something that we as human beings immediately think is an option. It's not the first thing we go to improve something. In fact, they went on to ask people, okay, how do you make it worse? How do you make it worse? And they also added things. So it's not like we think adding things just makes shit better. It's that we just always want to. Dude, mayonnaise is delicious, and I will go to my grave.
No, but like, hey, how do I make this college worse? Just mayonnaise everywhere.
Mayonnaise the college.
I
can't stack any of these bones. There's mayonnaise on all of them.
Mayonnaise are making the bones so slippery.
They won't stack at all. The dean can't sit here.
The dean's going to be so embarrassed that we covered all of his bones in mayonnaise. How do you make this car worse? Mayonnaise, either in the gas tank or in the glove compartment in the sun. Yeah. How do you make this pantry worse? Mayonnaise. Or a banana.
Mayonnaise next to the bananas.
The banana also works for the car.
Oh yeah, banana in the tailpipe. I've seen that one.
But I think.
And your car smells like delicious banana.
I think the trick here is when all of these people were asked, they were not asked about something that was innately theirs, because I feel like something that this comes down to, like the squares thing comes down to rules, right? It comes down to, we've handed you squares and we've told you to make a pattern out of these squares. But for something like the college, well, I can think of things that I want to add, but I don't want to take anything away from the college that somebody else is using. You know what I mean? It's not mine to say, fire this guy, but I could give you a suggestion of something that I wanted. You know what I mean? And it's the same when we were talking about this. Okay, I've handed you an itinerary for a trip. Okay, I'm seeing everything on this itinerary for your trip. Clearly, these are the things that you want to do. I'm not going to tell you not to do anything you want to do on your trip. Here are 3 things that I would also do on your trip. Whereas, like, if you handed me an itinerary and you were like, this is your trip, I would be like, no.
I think you make a good point. And this article kind of ends in that place, too. It says, oftentimes the researchers acknowledge that oftentimes people feel less comfortable suggesting removing things because that seems to be a more personal critique. Mm-hmm. Just even in the first example of suggesting improvements to the college in general, it's like, well, I don't know who's using a part of the college that I might find to be useless or superfluous.
Right.
So I'm not going to make an assumption that I can say, well, just get rid of the chemistry department. That sure would make things better. Or whatever. Or there's a parking lot that just feels, it's like, well, maybe there's people who use that parking lot and I'm just not aware of it. It's easier for me to say, here's the things where I think you could add because I would find value in the added stuff. Mm-hmm. So they do acknowledge that, but I still think there's something interesting here because, they did a version of the experiment where they asked people to, improve things while they were also having to do something else. So they had more cognitive load and the percentages skewed even further. So it's like when your brain is is preoccupied, you're more likely to fall back on behavior that you think is the easiest or the most
acceptable,
most acceptable, right? So you just keep adding shit rather than looking at it. They're saying it takes more energy, it takes more effort to strip something away than it does to add something.
Well, stripping something away. Yeah, I guess when you put it that way, stripping something away requires you to think about the dependencies that stripping away that thing has, right? If I take this out of my itinerary, well, my plan was to be in that general area. Now do I have to stay somewhere else? What happens when you know what I mean? Whereas oh, well, if I want to add this, well, I'm already here and that's an hour from there and that's only another $50. You know what I mean? Like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's easier to add because adding feels more specific. Like, oh, is the problem that this is, I don't know. I can't think of something to really illustrate it, but it's easier to add something that fixes one specific thing than it is to remove a partially broken thing that might affect 4 things that are working, because now you have to think about those other 4.
Right. Taking something away is potentially ruining a thing you've already got. Adding something to it, I don't think we think about as ruining, but it can very well ruin.
Because
I look at something like, I don't know, iTunes.
Yeah.
Which I fucking hate, right? It's a piece of software that is utter trash because it's trying to
even really need it anymore. I'm not on a Mac though. I'm not on a Mac.
Yeah. I don't have a Mac.
Just make it worse and worse.
It's such garbage software. And I think it's precisely an example of this idea where they kept adding and adding and adding. And I want iTunes to just do less.
Yeah.
Don't do all that shit. I don't need you to maintain all of my things across multiple devices. I don't care. Let me manually do all that stuff. Just let me access my fucking iPhone and download some music if I want to. And that's about it. Don't do all the stuff that you're trying to do. It's annoying. And it takes 14 years to download your bloated ass piece of software.
Yeah.
But I think it's harder. We see it in software. We see it in writing. We see it all over the place where people just feel like the better way to improve something is to add to it. And I think the counterexample is we saw just a few years ago. It's not so much common very, very much now, but a few years ago, we saw a bunch of phones that were coming out that like just did one thing.
Yeah.
Like a phone that just made phone calls and sent text messages and didn't do anything else.
I fucking bought one of those on Kickstarter.
Right?
Yeah, I did it. I bought the light phone.
And I think that's an example of people going, what would actually improve a thing is for it to do less.
Yeah. Well, and I mean that bears out in a lot of ways, but I will say that I am not using the light phone. I do have my iPhone. That's pretty funny. That's a good point. But there are certain things where I get what you're saying, where like, especially like you're saying in software, oh, well, the competing software does this, so we'll add it, even though it's not exactly what our software does. Or even things like in video games where it's like, well, this better have backwards compatibility. It's like, why? Nobody uses it. Nobody uses it and makes the hardware 40% more expensive. And it breaks.
Right. Yeah.
And backwards compatibility is always broken, but people want it. So add it.
Yeah. Uncharted needs multiplayer.
Yeah. Uncharted needs multiplayer. Why does it have? That's the thing that Uncharted is missing. Is I don't understand why when I'm playing Uncharted, Nathan Drake can't turn into a cloud of spiders and eat guard number 3, and then I get a point. That's an analogy that everybody understands. Hey, no, I do like this, and I do feel like, as much as I was making the joke about I got to buy something to organize, I have been trying to get rid of things. And I've been trying, I've been talking about that a lot, and like, what can I cut out of my life to make it better? And I think that's something that everybody needs to look at, is simplification.
And I think understanding that it may not be your default position. It may not be the tendency that your brain wants to go to. It may not be comfortable to say, oh, actually, the way to improve the situation is to strip away. I think that is, and I think, honestly, going back to where we started with this, is I think that's why there are so many aphorisms, because it is something that we need to remind ourselves, because it's not our instinct to reduce, to take away, to pull back.
We only need one flavor, and it's wild berry.
Wild berry could be the only flavor. With all the blue that we're going to get from the red cabbage, it's going to be great.
It's going to be great, man. The best blue comes from red. That's what they've always said. That's an aphorism.
They've always said
that my grandmother had knitted on a pillow. This is an award-winning science comedy podcast. You've just learned and laughed and loved, I think. But you have to remove one of them. Unless
the real journey was the laughing along the way.
Unless you support us on Patreon, then you're allowed to have all three.
Oh, that's the best Patreon benefit, is to retain all three of the things that you experienced during the listening of the show. Otherwise, you have to give one back. It's just fair.
Yeah. Which one? Will it be the learning, the laughing, or the love? Or are you going to give us at least $1 a month? Head to patreon.com/we have concerns to get access to our Discord. People are up on that Valheim server, Jeff.
Yeah, baby.
Playing that
you know
Valheim.
What? Anthony, there is a Valheim VR mod.
I saw.
I haven't tried it yet, but I'm so excited to try it. We have
concerns server and try that Valheim VR mod.
Inver. It's going to be great.
If you want to do that, if you want to discuss all kinds of things, science, games, we got a channel for pets, which is full of just the best pet pictures. And it makes my day.
We got a bird pranks channel.
They're out there and they're pranking. Yeah. If you want access to that, that's just $1 a month at patreon.com/we have concerns. And while you're there, why not check out the other levels and see if there's something else worthwhile to you? We'd really appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye.